We're here with Northern Trust Chief Economist Carl Tannenbaum. With the election fast approaching, the federal budget is front and center. What is your assessment of our federal budget?
There's good news and there's bad news. Over the last several years, the solid economic performance here in the United States has benefited the federal coffers, and we've had some spending discipline. So the level of our annual deficit relative to the size of our economy has been shrinking. But people will point out that shrinking the deficit is not the same as putting a dent in the debt. And our debt related to the size of our economy is twice what it was prior to the crisis. And further, as you look down the road, we have the cost of entitlements, Social Security and Medicare, that will bear much more heavily on the budget. So in the long term, we have a lot of work to do.
What options are there in terms of tax policy for the next Congress and administration?
Most would probably agree that our tax code is impossibly complicated, and the wish for simplification has been expressed in draft legislation over and over again over the last couple of decades. I don't have a lot of faith, though, that we're going to make progress on that. Behind every deduction and preference is an interest group or a region that enjoys having it there, and in order to get compromise, people are going to have to give up way too much. There is an area, however, where there may be an opportunity for movement. Our corporate tax system has been in the headlines a lot because its features have promoted the movement of some corporate headquarters overseas, and there is a great pool of corporate profits that are stranded in overseas markets. There may be an opportunity for a so-called tax holiday, which would allow some of those monies to come back to the United States at a reduced rate, raise some tax revenue, and also provide the base potentially for some economic investment.
Is there one issue pertaining to the budget that ought to be getting more attention than it is?
The one area that is the third rail of American budgetary politics are entitlements, and Social Security and Medicare are the biggest pieces of our budget and will get only larger over time as the baby boomers retire. I have every faith that we'll figure out the Social Security system. We've saved it 2 or 3 times in the last generation, but the whole medical care issue, especially as it pertains to retirees, is one that has the potential to bankrupt the United States.
Contrary to the general trend of austerity, you've written that it might be a good time for the federal government to spend more. Could you explain?
I know I'm going to get a lot of mail at suggesting that the government do more. But here I think there's a unique opportunity. We're in a period of very low interest rates where the federal government here in the United States is having no trouble issuing debt at very low rates. So the cost of expanding the debt is relatively low, and we have a substantial need for infrastructure investment here in the United States. Roads, bridges, broadband, the electrical grid, the communication system. All of these things, if modernized, would increase America's productivity. They are, in fact, an investment in our economic future. And the returns from that will make the budgetary impact in the short term look like a very wise investment indeed.
Carl, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.